everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a recipe for my favorite mushroom soup. I talked about this recipe in my Costco haul, and I figured I'd just upload it as its own video today. A little backstory behind this recipe. There is a restaurant in LA called Soup Goddess, and they have all vegan soups and they're open for lunch. And they have the most bomb mushroom soup, and it's called like the mushroom heaven soup, I think. And so this recipe I'm gonna share with you guys is my copycat recipe from Soup Goddess's mushroom heaven soup. It is one of mine and my boyfriend's favorite recipes, and mushrooms, if you guys didn't know, are super good for your immune system. Same with onions and garlic. I'm not sure how accessible a lot of these ingredients are gonna be during this time, but if you guys happen to have 20 ounces of mushrooms on hand, you can make this recipe. Also, I like to use a food processor when prepping the ingredients because it makes all the vegetables really small, so you get like a scoop of everything in each spoonful. If you don't have a food processor, you could just use a knife. You can just chop everything up really small. I think that's about it. Let's just jump right into the recipe. If you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss every time I upload. And it'd really help out my channel if you'd leave a like on this video. I'm also gonna be using an Instant Pot for this video, but you definitely do not need to make this in an Instant Pot. You can just make it in a big soup pot and bring all the ingredients to a simmer. But yeah, let's jump right on into the recipe. Okay, so here's all the ingredients I'm gonna be using in today's recipe. First, I have 24 ounces of mushrooms here, and I picked this up from Costco in my last haul, and a lot of you guys said that you wanted to see this recipe, but yeah, I understand that you probably don't have just 24 ounces of mushrooms lying around your fridge at this time, but if you happen to go to Costco, you can pick up one of those big boxes, or you could use a combination of white button mushrooms, shiitakes, and portobellos. Next up, I have 4 carrots that I peeled and chopped up, 1 yellow onion that I chopped up into big chunks, and 2 celery sticks, and 6 cloves of garlic. And I'm gonna be putting all of these in the food processor. For the rest of the ingredients, we are gonna be using some soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, some almond butter to make it creamy. We're gonna stir that in the end. Some of this vegan chickenless seasoning salt, but you could also just use any type of veggie bouillon. I'm also gonna be using some veggie broth, some garbanzo beans for some protein, some red pepper flake, and some black pepper. So first, I'm just gonna start prepping all of the ingredients. So first, to the food processor, I am adding the onion, and I'm just chopping those all up for a couple seconds. And once they are all chopped, I'm just setting them aside in a bowl. Next, I'm gonna chop up the celery. And set that aside. Next, I'm doing the same thing to all the carrots, just chopping them up for a few seconds. And also setting those aside in a bowl. So next I'm gonna chop up all the mushrooms. I rinsed these off, even though you're not really supposed to. You're supposed to like wipe them with a towel. And I also went ahead and I cut them all in half just to make them more uniform. I'm gonna be saving half of these. I'm only gonna process half of them, and the other half I'm gonna slice up. So I'm gonna add in half of the mushrooms. And let's set these aside. Round number 2. And for the second half of my mushrooms, I'm just gonna chop these up into bigger pieces. Okay, and for the garlic, I'm just gonna mix it up using this garlic press. I got this at the local corner store down the street for $1, and it is my new favorite activity. Look how fun this is. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably have a garlic press at home, but isn't that the most fun you've ever had? This is my new favorite activity during quarantine. I just mince up garlic all day. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is put the Instant Pot on Saute. And I'm just gonna cook down the onions and garlic and have them release their flavors a little bit. Like I said, you do not need an Instant Pot to make this recipe. You could totally make it in a big pot, just simmering all the ingredients together. Okay, so now that our Instant Pot is hot, I'm gonna add in the onions. Okay, next I'm gonna add in the garlic. It's looking a little brown. I got someone distracting me over here. Okay, so as you can see, it's getting really caramelized on the bottom. I'm gonna splash in a little bit of veggie broth to stop it from sticking. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest of our ingredients. So the celery, carrots, all of the mushrooms. I'm gonna add in the whole can of garbanzo beans with the liquid. I've been rationing out my veggie broth to make it last longer, so I'm only gonna add in 2 cups of veggie broth and then 2 cups of water. And I'm using low sodium veggie broth, so that's 2 cups and 2 cups of water. Next I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. This is a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce. This is optional, you don't really need it, but it does add some depth of flavor. But yeah, if you don't have it, don't even bother. By the way, this Kroger brand Worcestershire sauce is vegan. It doesn't have any anchovy or fish in it. I'm using 1 teaspoon of this vegan chicken seasoning salt, but you could just use any type of veggie bouillon. A 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. A 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flake. And I'm just gonna give all of that a stir. Next, I'm gonna pop on the lid. Make sure the valve up here is set to sealing. Okay, so I'm gonna press cancel on Saute, and then I'm gonna press manual for 10 minutes. And when the timer goes off, we're gonna do a full natural release for about 20 minutes. So while that's cooking, in the meantime, I'm gonna make an almond butter cream to add into the soup. I'm measuring out a 1/3 cup of almond butter, and I'm gonna add a 1/3 cup of water and just whisk that together until it's nice and creamy. Last time I made this recipe, I actually used cashew butter, and I think it came out a little bit creamier. And if you wanna make it extra thick and creamy, I would recommend adding even more nut butter, even more than a 1/3 cup. Okay, so I did a full natural release, which takes about 20 minutes. Make sure you double check and turn the valve up here to make sure there's no pressure left. And I'm gonna pour in our almond cream and just give that a stir. So yeah, it's not the prettiest soup, but it is so yummy and flavorful. After you mix in the nut butter, you can put the Instant Pot back to saute and boil off some of the excess water if it's a little bit too watery for you. As the mushrooms are pressure cooking, they let out a lot of water, so that's why it gets kind of watery. You can also add in additional nut butter if you want it to be extra thick, or you could add in like a starch thickener as well. You can taste it and adjust the seasonings to your preference. You can add in more red pepper flakes or add in some more sea salt, and that is it for this recipe. Well, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me for this recipe video. Stay tuned in my next video. I am working on editing it right now. It is 3 vegan recipes with pantry staples, so I think a lot of ingredients in those recipes you guys will already have on hand, so stay tuned for that video. It's gonna come out in a couple days, and make sure you like and subscribe before you go, and I will see you in my next video.